Welcome back, and today we are playing out the J-9 early. It's called the early, but I'm a bit late on this one. I try to not cover too many low tier planes back to back, because well, it's a bit of a niche market, so to speak, so I try to not publish them all together, and sometimes I just get more interesting footage that I want to use a little bit earlier. But here we are, the J-9 early. What is it like? Is it any good? Well, I'm gonna cover that one real quick. It's not really that great. It does turn okay, it turns very well with the flaps down. However, it compresses at like 430 kilometers an hour. It isn't very fast, it doesn't climb particularly well. All in all, this plane is a little bit mid, but for a low tier plane, when you fight low tier players, you are gonna be basically okay. Overall, it is a gimmick mobile, and your only real strengths are your flaps, as well as the 13mm, of which unfortunately you only get 2 of. They do hit quite hard, but they can also be a bit RNG, especially in these tail chases and stuff. But if you get someone slow, if you get the drop on someone, you can just absolutely blast these guys out of existence. But because the guns are in the wings, it's kind of inconsistent, and they don't always banish people to the Shadow Realm, and you would really need that, considering the flight performance is just extremely mid. This is gonna be my first game in it, and here you can really see where I'm struggling and where I'm not. Well, we do pilot snipe him with a 13mm, and I'm only going 500, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm thinking, who do I go for? Everyone is below me. There's only one guy behind us that's at medium to high altitude. So I thought to myself, well, let's just go directly into the pack and start cleaning these guys up. Get some quick kill footage. This is full elevator at 500 kilometers an hour. I'm even throttle dropping, and it still just doesn't pull. And yes, low tier planes compress quite often. Not as bad as this thing does. So we do go vertical. We are able to kind of pull inside of the BF-109E. But it just doesn't really pull at all. Once you get slow enough, once the flaps come down, it does pull quite hard. But you can tell in that one loop, I am basically all out of speed. Not a big issue. That's kind of normal for a plane at this tier, where you have a lawnmower engine strapped onto a metal shit bucket. And that's really where the main issue comes from. You have an engine that isn't really strong. It's a plane that's not good at being fast, and is not great at being slow either, other than that one turn with the flaps down. Now, if people ignore you like they do right here, and you don't really need to have the full authority of your elevator, of course you're going to be okay. But something like a 190A1 will absolutely rinse you. Heinkel 112 is kind of in the same boat as us. It's also a little bit of a metal bathtub without an engine. This is full elevator. This thing just does not pull. Now we are going about 400, and you can tell that the second we go even a little bit vertical, we instantly lose all our speed. And that comes from the fact that this thing does not have a very good straight line speed. And when you have a low straight line speed, the second you go over like 450 kilometers an hour and you keep diving, you will not maintain any of this energy at all, and you will basically just piss it away. And because you don't really have an engine to get it back, you really need to be careful with who you engage. But staying above 450 to either not compress or maintain your altitude basically makes it so that you cannot engage anyone. Now the good news is, you climb so poorly that you won't really have to dive on anyone. The issue comes from the fact that if you do get someone on your 6 and you need to defend, well, you can also see where the issue comes from here. You can't really go over 550 kilometers an hour without just basically flying directly into their guns, because you are not really able to turn at all. If you go any slower, you become a very easy target. So you are basically just stuck at this speed, what even like level 10s will very easily kill you. Now we stall out the A6M2, absolutely fantastic, merge with the Spitfire. I'm gonna go vertical in the hope that he goes up, stalls himself out so he can dive away. And here is gonna be the issue of trying to defend yourself. Now the Spitfire is about to break off, and we are gonna be alone with the Typhoon. Yes, the Typhoon is a scary plane, it is very strong, and we have been up-tiered, but that's not the main takeaway on this. Look at this, I'm trying to zero throttle so I can actually slow down enough so I can actually maneuver. I'm still pulling fully, and I don't really start pulling until I go 450 kilometers an hour, and that's just way too slow. He hits us, we get absolutely peppered, and this plane becomes an even bigger shit brick. Now, I want to look at this Typhoon. I'm not sure if he's a low level player or whatever, but he made a few massive mistakes. Mainly trying to sit in front of me, trying to scissor me kinda when I'm going like 260 kilometers an hour. He keeps just turning in front of me. Now I'm not really able to get my guns on properly because this thing is now severely damaged. It doesn't handle very well. But you can tell that every time he starts getting out of my guns, he just kind of turns back into it. He is out-turning me. This guy is absolutely clapping me. Right now he's going up and I'm diving on him, so I start to pull into him a little bit. But in general, you can see that the Typhoon basically kills me in a singular turn. Yes, I am damaged, but this thing is quite generous when it comes to the damage model. Because at the end of the day, it is a flying shit bucket. And that's really the biggest advantage. Now we have an I-153, which is just absolutely incredible to fight in this thing. Nice the 20mm variant as well. We hit him quite a bit. He doesn't actually die. We don't even get a damage indication on the bottom right. So it's safe to assume that we did absolutely nothing to him. But I guess it's fair considering the amount of 7mm that we just sponged from the Typhoon. Fighting a biplane in this thing is absolute hell. Why is that, you might ask? Because, well, you are barely any faster than it. You can't really dive on it, so you're not really able to use your speed to your advantage. He climbs better than you, and he just infinitely turns better than you. If he just one turns after you, he gets on your 6 within like 700 meters, and you're not going like twice his speed, and you have to dodge his guns, he will catch you. So you kinda are just in this place where you can't really engage it at all. Now luckily the I-153 actually engaged the P-36. He didn't go to land, so he's still somewhat damaged, so he's probably gonna lose a little bit more speed than he would if he wasn't damaged. And that's about the only advantage that we have in this current scenario. Now here we are gonna have a little bit of a teaching moment for target prioritization, energy management, and overall just trying to read the battle. Now this is something that comes with experience. It's something that I can't really explain to you in like a flowchart kind of sense, but I can try to explain to you what happened exactly in this situation right here. So we have an A6M2. Now that's a plane that I do not want to deal with because, well, it's an A6M2, and planes that turn really well versus this thing are your absolute kryptonite, because it doesn't matter how well you play it, you are going to die. And he is just kind of presenting himself, so for the sake of trying to get rid of him before the fight really starts, because he is secluded and we are able to kill him before anything really happens, that's a great opportunity to take it down. Now we have the I-153. It's the P variant, so he's not really able to spray that much, but it's still a very dangerous plane. And here I want to go for the MiG-3. I can pitch up for him, he will definitely die, but the P-36 for now looks to be kind of out of danger. And I'm gonna get absolutely eaten up by the I-153. And you can tell by the second I turn a little bit, the I-153 goes for me. Now I did set myself up for disaster a little bit, because I kind of just sat directly below the MiG-3. However, he is engaging the P-36. And the MiG-3 isn't that dangerous if you know how to handle it, if he doesn't have an energy advantage, which he doesn't really. Well, in this thing you always do, but that's besides the point. I-153 is going very slow, and if you remember from earlier, he really didn't want to take the head on, so I'm just going to be committing to it and the hope that I can kill him right here. And we nick his engine. You see some engine smoke, we see severe damage. That guy is dead in the water. Now we have the MiG-3. But I also have a teammate around. So we have the P-36 and the MiG-3. And I'm just kind of waiting for the MiG-3 to pick a target. The second I see him go for the P-36, I re-engage. But he is feinting me. He gets on R6. He also doesn't turn particularly well. He's going a little bit too fast for his own good. And we are going to get right on his 6. Because he now tries to extend from both of us. And you can tell, sometimes these guns hit extremely hard. And other times they do extremely nothing. There is kill number 4, here comes kill number 5. I'm trying to pitch in, but this plane really doesn't like well, it doesn't really like anything, but neck-G'ing in particular is something this plane really doesn't like. And I can try to follow that, but I kinda just don't want to waste my ammo, my energy, and most importantly, my mental trying to fly this thing and not ending myself. Now here comes a Spitfire. I'm not sure which variant it is, but it's one of those tourney boys that you want to be aware of, and that you kinda want to be scared of. I don't really want to fight this guy. However, there's a P-36 directly behind me, so I'm just going to pressure him in the case that he flies past me and then goes head on with the P-36. So we turn after him, and you can tell that I'm able to pull in somewhat because he's slow, and then he goes head on for like a split second. And that split second is just enough for us to get on the 6, crit him, damage him enough to the point where he won't really outturn us anymore, and he kind of just went too slow in front of me. If he had engaged me, he would have killed me in the dogfight, but the P-36 would have taken him down. So at that point he was too slow to really contest both of us at the same time, and the Spitfire Mark 1A also just doesn't have the best engine. Here comes the Epstein on the year 2, dome him directly in the face, and that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.